I am far less interested in what happens to ADA price as the weekend moves on here, and far more interested in what comes this week, because we have something that should be taking place for ADA that has happened 2 times so far in this market cycle, that both times has led ADA to surge 130% to the upside. Now, this would in fact set a new cycle high for ADA. And what's interesting is right now it's looking that might not even be where it stops. We're going to talk about all that and more in this video. So if you guys are new or haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below, hit that bell. It's free to do. It'll keep you updated anytime there's new content live here on the channel. So the great news about the weekend is not that we're red, but it is that people are slowly but surely realizing that they have to take advantage of these dips or risk being left behind. Now, are some people going to still be stuck on the sidelines? Absolutely. There's a lot of people that still I can see think that this is a temporary pump and we're going to get this big retracement and yada, 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 right? But you can see it in terms of whales, right? We talked about ADA whales earlier today. I do want to mention BTC whales doing the same thing. 20,000 BTC bought over the last 48 hours. And look at this. They actually have lower holdings than what they did back here when everything was flat. And you're going to see a moment where they all start chasing. This is the exact process that we need to go through that helps bring us to new highs, right? This is a crucial, essential part of massive runs in the crypto market. So that's very exciting. But what I will say is obviously very exciting this week is, well, first of all, we have a CPI report taking place on Wednesday. So that's something we're going to have to watch because that'll inject some direction into the market one way or the other. But what I'm really focused on heavily here for ADA is we are in fact on track to have a golden cross take place this week. Now, currently, this is actually showing it's supposed to take place on Wednesday. For those that aren't familiar, golden cross is the 50-day moving average crossing the 200-day moving average. And historically, this has been very beneficial for ADA. Now, just like I've said before, that these death crosses, they tend to be a bottom in terms of sentiment, just like it was back here, obviously in the early part of April. Actually, that would have been probably the best time to accumulate is while we were on that dip and we were getting our death cross. When we look back at the 2 other times ADA got its golden crosses in this cycle alone, it led ADA to do massive surges, 130% runs to the upside. You guys can see this one crossing and taking place back here on November 14th, which actually led us to run about 130% or so to the upside. Massive run up to about $1.31. And we also saw this take place in the fall of 2023. Golden Cross took place, where was that? Right here, around the same date, actually, November 14th, go figure. And we saw ADA do the same thing, run 130% to the upside, all right, up to about 81 cents. So this would obviously be very big because ADA sits right at about 80 cents at the time of filming this video, and a 130% run to the upside would in fact be a new cycle high for ADA. Let's see if I can line this up. But it would also create this massive breakout we've been waiting for. This would take ADA price very close to about $1.85. And why this is so important is when we look back at this structure that we've been talking about, this is that go time, right? We fight trend along these ways, and we get 3 taps on this, okay? We can see the early one take place here in early 2019, see the other one in the latter part of 2020, and then finally in early 2021 is when ADA had its 3rd tap and its breakout and its massive alt season run to the upside. It's up only season, right? Now, when we're looking here at this current structure, we can ignore this one back here. This does not count. That's not part of this structure. That was just a correction. But we can see here, 1 taking place in early part of 2024, 2 taking place in the latter part of 2024, and now 3, this would be our 3rd attempt, breach, breakthrough, and that should be where we go on this big run to the upside. Now, this isn't a guarantee or financial advice, but I do have to note that every single time one of these took place, we were coming off of a golden cross. Coincidence? Maybe that's the case, but it's definitely worth noting. And that is where you see this positive sentiment shift. But where this really gets interesting is obviously, $1.85 ADA, I'm sure would be depressing for a lot of people. It'd be exciting, but it would be depressing because we've been talking about prices that are significantly higher. We've talked about, $2, $3 or sometime around, March, April, May, but it might not stop there. And the reason why I'm saying this is the case is when we look at this amount of supply that has been removed from exchanges, it's significant. This week alone was another $40 million worth of ADA removed from exchanges. So what I have to say is there's not much liquidity up here. Guys, ADA can make 10, 20, 30% single day moves because there is such thin liquidity here. That is where you could see FOMO hit ADA like a freaking meme coin. All right. Now, this isn't a guarantee or financial advice or anything like that. Nobody knows what's going to happen for sure, but we're starting to see this beautiful picture take place, and it's happening right in front of people's eyes. This is go time. This is where you lock in and you prepare for these massive runs in the market, right? Now, understand that, even still as time goes on, ADA has huge potential for the future. In fact, Charles Hoskinson was talking about these next 5 years of growth. And he mentioned that a lot of this growth is likely to come from XRP and BTC. And what he mentioned was actually the fact that there's a lot of things that Cardano can do for these other ecosystems. And I think that this is something that gets slept on a lot. I've talked about this in other videos. But the fact that Cardano can be a consensus layer because it can have this interoperability with other chains in a way that you don't currently see in the crypto market, it tends to fall on deaf ears. And there is a lot of use for ADA that will emerge over time. Would not surprise me to see the Cardano ecosystem being built with through other ecosystems. So we're in a very interesting spot right now. We're at a spot where the market's basically prepping for this big blow. We're at a time where Cardano is taking major steps forward. And I think that this is something that could actually snowball and again, make ADA one of the probably one of the best late market performers here in crypto. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on this, but I appreciate you guys as always. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts below. Watch out for this week because it could get wild. Have a great day. Catch you guys in the next one. Take care.